Hello everyone, hope you all are doing great, and welcome to this new video where we are going to be talking about app states in SwiftUI. So in this video we'll be talking about how to detect different app states, from app being active to app being inactive or going to the background. Basically there are three states that your iOS apps follow. One is being on the front, basically active state, which is on the forefront when user is interacting with the app. Second is when the app is in inactive state, when user either gets a phone call or they basically for example, use this launch bar to see all the open apps. So this is inactive state, and when user is no longer using the app, then that becomes background state. Basically, app goes in the background and stays there until it either becomes active or it goes it stays active until system feels that it needs more resources and it kills the app. So these are three different states, and it's beneficial for you to know how to detect app state for a very specific reasons that many apps actually use these days. So let me show you the reason first. So you must have seen this where sometimes whenever you are seeing what all apps you have, and you're using certain apps, for example maybe PayPal or some sort of banking app, and the view itself becomes blur, or view shows the banking logo instead of showing the transaction details. That is a security feature. So for example, if you have your bank app open, right, and you're looking at your bank app, you're looking at another app, for example in the front end, and somebody else is looking over your shoulder. If your app retains the current state, current UI, then you would be able to see what or the other person will be able to see your transactions and details and stuff like that, because by default iOS retains the last screenshot. So for example, if I take this tip calculator and excuse me, and if I just modify some value here, so I would say just 900, and then I would just keep it in back. I go here. If I'm imagine this is my bank app, anyone who's looking at my shoulder, over my shoulder, they can see the the transaction detail. This time I have this 900 in there, right? It would be beneficial, and many almost all financial apps do this, is to either blur this view or they show just the logo, depending upon which state the app is in. Okay, so what are we gonna do? So we're gonna basically use just that. We're gonna first learn to detect app states inside SwiftUI, and it's gonna be a solution that we're gonna build purely using SwiftUI, and the outcome is gonna be this. When app is in forefront, you're gonna be able to see DevTechie right there, and with the orange background. As soon as app goes in inactive state, and basically it's some other app is open, then your view itself becomes blur, so you can see there's nothing that's being displayed here. Excuse me. So after that, as soon as the app becomes active, your view comes into picture and it's no longer blurred, but you can see what is written or what's being shown on the app itself. Okay, so once again, when app goes in the background, right, then also it's in the blurred state. When it becomes active, only then it actually shows you the actual content Okay, so this is what we are going to be learning about today, how to actually detect different app states and how to act on those states to hide the data, the screenshot data, and prevent our apps accidentally sharing information that our users don't want to share. Okay, with that, let's go ahead and get started. So for this one, we're going to first learn how to detect basically the different app states. So one way of detecting app state is to subscribe to notifications in the notification center, and we can subscribe those notifications on the content view itself. Okay, and this is the content like right here on the content view, and basically whenever these notifications are fired, our content view is gonna receive those notifications, and they're gonna actually let us know whether the app is in active or inactive state. So for example, we can use on receive publisher basically to subscribe to notification center. And notification center actually publishes all these notifications with default.publisher call, and you can tell which key path you're looking for. So you can say I'm looking for UI application dot did become active notification, and for the output we're not gonna care about what we are passing in here, because I'm simply gonna print whether app is active or inactive. So this is did become active notification, so app just became active, so we're gonna leave it print app is in active state. Okay, we're gonna print just that. We're gonna set attach another on receive notification, and this one is gonna be for basically UI application dot will resign active notification. That means app is now entering into the background. Okay, and we're gonna simply print app is in background. Okay, with that change, let's go ahead and run the app, and I'm gonna run this, and there we go. When we have our app in active state, we actually get this notification that app is in active state. As soon as app goes in background, we get app is in background. Okay, now this solution is great, but there's a better way. There's a SwiftUI way of doing this, and we can do that by observing the state changes as they are happening. And we can observe those changes with a object called scene phase, which is available inside your environment variable. So what we're going to do is we're going to observe scene phase changes on the main app. So basically wherever the main function is, similar to this one, this content view on receive, you can honestly attach it to your local view. But the scene phase, you might want to actually attach it to the main app level, because then it actually works for the entire app. Okay, so yeah, so once again, we're gonna attach that which is at the entry point, and then we're gonna use that scene phase to detect what state our app is in. Okay, so let me go ahead and comment this out. Okay, and then what we're gonna do is first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna go to our environment, and we're gonna request the key path for scene phase. All right, and then we're gonna have basically our body and your window group and stuff like that, and then you're gonna have your content view. Now for the content view, what we're gonna do is we're gonna put on change. Okay, and on change off, so we're gonna actually observe the changes on phase. Okay, and we're gonna perform some operations. So we're gonna get new value, which is a new phase. Okay, and we are simply going to put a switch statement to it. We're gonna say switch new phase, and there are a few cases that we're gonna actually go through. It's gonna be active, and here we're gonna print app is in active state. Then we have inactive. We're gonna print app and the third case is background. For unknown cases, we're gonna put default, and this is simply going to print unknown state. Okay, with that, let's go ahead and launch our app. And what we should see is we should see three states now. So app is in active state. That's where we're gonna start with. When we enter the inactive phase, which is like, you know, basically launching this app switcher, that's when, like, you know, our app enters inactive state. This could also happen if you receive a phone call or if you have, like, you know, a system-based dialog. Okay, so you get your app is in inactive state. If I click on the background, then app goes in the background. Basically, now my app is in the background. As soon as I click on the app again, notice the flow. So app was in active state, it went to inactive state, then it went into background. Okay, when we clicked on the app, it came back from background to inactive state first, and then it came to active state once again. Let's go ahead and see. When app goes in the background, it doesn't directly go in the background. It actually goes first in the inactive state, and then it goes in the background. So that is one thing that we can use to our advantage. Like, you know, this basically entering inactive state and background. So as soon as the app is entering in the inactive state, we're gonna start, like, you know, the blur process. And as app enters in the background, we already have our state set and we should be good to go. Okay, so with that in mind, let's go ahead and create a class. Okay, and this is going to be basically our like an AppState manager. So I'm going to call it AppState manager. Okay, and this is going to be an observable object. This AppState manager is going to publish two different properties. There's going to be published is active state, which is going to be initially false, and show blur. Okay, and other than that, this is going to be a singleton, so we're going to create a static var shared, and we're also going to create a private init, so we can prevent the initialization for this class. Okay, all right, so once we have done this, what we're gonna do is we are going to go back into our window group where we are actually detecting different phases, and we're gonna actually set these this is active flag. So we're gonna say app state manager dot share dot is active is true. Okay, when the app becomes active, when it becomes inactive, we're gonna set it to false, and when the app becomes app goes in the background, that's where we're gonna say app state manager dot share dot show blur is equal to app state manager dot share dot is active, true or false. So basically, whenever your app is entering the background, that's when we can set this is active to true and false. Okay, so let's start there. All right, and next thing what we want to do is we want to use this app state manager somehow. So let's go into our content view, or basically the view that's going to be launched, and here we can actually change this a bit to make this more prominent. So I'm gonna put dev techie here and gonna style it a little bit. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna use a blur modifier on this. Okay, and you can use this blur modifier over the content view itself as well. I'm just gonna show you how you can use it on different pages, but you can actually set it on the content view as well. Okay, so I'm going to set the blur, and there's going to be some value of blur. Okay, before we do that, we want to observe the app state manager. So at observed object, all right, so whenever detecting app state is being initialized, we can expect this value to be passed in. I'm just going to remove this guy and go into content view, sorry, in the app, and oh yeah, actually, you know what, I want to do this. Yeah, let's leave it here. Okay, so I don't want to make this too complicated, so I'm gonna directly launch detecting app state from our app. Okay, so I'm gonna say detecting app state. Okay, this is gonna expect app state manager, so or state manager, so we're gonna say app state manager dot shared. That's gonna be passed in. Okay, and now we're gonna go back into our view, and for the blur we're gonna say if the state manager dot shared dot show blur, okay, is 100. I mean, if show blur is true, then set the blur radius to be 100, and if not, then set the blur radius to be 0. Now honestly, we don't need to do this. You can just remove it, and you can simply call app state manager.shared because it's still a singleton, so you should still be able to actually do this. So I don't think this is necessary. Let's go ahead and let's go ahead and build and try it out. Okay, let's see what happens. Okay, so I'm gonna launch the app, and there we go. We have our text showing up, and let's enter into the background. So we're gonna enter into the background, and app is in the background. So we don't know if if this is taking effect. Okay. All right, so let's see. Let me change this to basically whenever app becomes inactive, we actually want to change the state there as well. And it seems to be some tap is in the background. Okay, and blur is not being applied. All right, let's debug this. So I definitely made a mistake somewhere. All right, so the only thing that I can think of is I think we should be observing the changes. So because we are actually publishing those, so I'm gonna actually go back and add that observed object app state manager app state manager. Okay, and we're gonna use that state manager. Right, and when we are initializing, we're gonna pass the state manager app state manager dot shared like so. Okay, and I wanna leave this. So when app is active, show blur should be false. Okay, otherwise it's gonna be true. So when it's active is false, then blur should be true. Okay, and I don't know if we're gonna need this one because we've already blurred it, and our background should stay that way. Okay, let's try this out. Okay, so our app is in active state. All right, and we're gonna enter the inactive. There we go. All right, so our app is now in inactive state, and we're gonna switch back, and it stays. Okay, so app is now entering. Okay, so this should become, because app is in active state, our view is basically going to get executed here. Okay, so let me do this as soon as let me move this up. Okay, and I want to try this out. Okay, all right, so first thing we are doing is okay, so that is not what we want. That's actually the opposite. Okay, so yeah, so your switch statement ends here. We want to detect, like, what our app state is eventually at that point, and that's perfect. Okay, so that is the way to go. Okay, so that was my bad. But yeah, I mean, reason I moved it here because now within the switch statement, our apps, basically our flags, are going to be set. Okay, and then once the flags are set, then we can basically work with our show blur object. Okay, so let me go ahead and run this one more time, and yeah, so app is in inactive state. It's showing the blur. It goes in the background. It's still blurred. Okay, so let's enter directly the background. Yeah, so app is still blurred, and as soon as it enters the foreground, it actually displays the content. All right, so okay, so yeah, this is it. This is how you can actually basically do the apps, detect the apps active and inactive states, and then you can go ahead and basically blur your view, or whatever you want to show a logo or something. You can actually do that. Okay, all right, so with that, we have reached the end of this video, but I just wanted to remind you, if you haven't visited devtechie.com lately, you might want to do that, because there are a few new things that have been posted there. For example, there's this new course that is live, but other than that, there are some articles that are there, for example, this one is circular progress bar, building this in SwiftUI. purely in SwiftUI, and it has like all the code and everything that you'd be building a circular progress bar in detail. You've got like color picker detail, like so several other articles that have been posted. And while you're there, go ahead and subscribe to our weekly newsletter. That way, like whenever something new is posted, on a weekly basis, I'm gonna actually send you an email with a list of the things. Okay, no spam. It's not gonna be like like every day I'm sending you a newsletter. It's gonna be once in a week or once in a couple of weeks. Whenever there is a significant update, I'm gonna actually notify you guys. So yeah, so go ahead, like give it a go. And there is also a courses section where you can see like all the courses that are there. I'm actually gonna start putting more courses in, and they're heavily discounted, so like go ahead and check them out as well. All right, with that, thank you so much once again for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe button on YouTube, and I will see you guys in another video. Thank you so much.